So there's a lot of change in today's real estate market. We have rising interest rates. We have finally a little bit more inventory coming up. And even though things feel like they're changing a bit, I want to share with you 4 reasons why I think it's still a fantastic real estate market, because we can just get down to the nuts and bolts about what is relevant or what's important for you to understand. So I'm super excited to share this information with you. Let's jump into it. All right, so reason number 1 why we are still in a fantastic market are the interest rates. So yes, I know they have been jumping up here within the last couple of months. If you weren't aware, as of the beginning of the year, they were around 3%. They've actually bumped up to about the low 5s. But here's the thing, we've got to keep a historical context on what does that mean. Even at the low 5% range, it's still very low compared to the last 40 years, 50 years. If we go back to the 70s, in the 70s, they were in the upper 8% range. In the 80s, they went all the way up into the low teens. They were in the 12% to the 15% range. So as we work from the 80s to the 2010 era, yes, rates have been slowly declining. And if we compare the rates this year to last year, of course they feel high. But historically speaking, they're still pretty low compared to where we've been. So yes, you may have missed the boat on the 2% and the 3% interest rates. Some are saying that we will see rates come back down come later this year, early next year. But historically speaking, you guys, 5% is not that bad. So reason number 2 why we are still experiencing a fantastic market is because we still have a limited supply of inventory. Now, if you're a buyer, is that a good thing? No, that's not fantastic at all. You want a ton of homes to pick from. And yet at the same time, a lot of people are thinking that as rates are coming up, or since they've gone up, that we're going to see an abundance of homes on the market, and then all of a sudden prices are going to come down, et cetera, et cetera. That's just not reality, and that's not what I'm observing out there in the marketplace. What I am observing is that yes, it is still taking a little bit longer for homes to sell, but there still is a severe undersupply of inventory. So that's going to mean that, yeah, maybe homes compared to the last 24 months, homes are selling, it's taking a little bit longer to sell, but it's not like the market is crashing or we're going to see prices fall from the sky like they did before. We still have a limited supply of inventory, so that's going to continue things moving forward. It's great news for sellers, it's not great news for buyers, but it's still a fantastic time to sell. All right, so reason number 3 why we are still in a fantastic market is because we're expecting, the National Association of Realtors is expecting that we should have about 6 million homes sell in the entire nation. Now, what does that mean? That is actually quite high if we compare that number to pre-pandemic numbers. Prior to the pandemics, 2017, 2018, 2019, we were floating around 5.1 to 5.3 million sales. So if we're projecting 6 million this year, even if we scale that back and go to 5.5 million, that's still about the same amount of homes that we were selling prior to the pandemic. So we don't want to get caught up in comparing everything over the last 2 years, because the last 2 years, you guys, the last 2 years were absolutely bonkers. And it's foolish to look at it just from that narrow perspective. We got to just look back to 17, 18, and 19. Those were still healthy, very, very active markets. So even if we hit 5.5 million sales this year, it's still very good. So that's definitely a reason why we're still in a fantastic market. We're going to see normal sales activity compared to what we have been experiencing recently. So reason number 4 why we are still in a fantastic market is, and this is going to be a little unusual, is that we have a pending recession that's coming up. A lot of economics or economists and a lot of people that study the market, they're all predicting a recession is coming. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily a fantastic reason why we're in a great market. I just think that it's going to create an opportunity where maybe there are some buyers that are going to go away. But if you're a buyer thinking about buying in today's market, I just told a good friend of mine, she was asking me if she thinks that she should go forward with the purchase. And I said, absolutely. Okay. Just because we have a recession coming up doesn't mean the market is going to fall apart. Yes, coming off of one of our recent recessions back in 2018, that was a terrible time. Prices fell about 19%. Okay. However, if we look over the course of history, going back to the 80s, since the 80s, we've had 4 recessions where prices actually went up. Okay. It's still expected, even when we're looking at a recession for 2022, which it hasn't been called a recession yet, but it's probably going to be. Even with the recession coming up, it's still expected that we're going to have year over year appreciation. So prices are still expected to go up. So you've got to keep in mind, just because we have a recession doesn't mean that prices are going to come down. It's hard to wrap our arms around that, especially coming off of 2018. But truthfully, you guys, all the indications are pointing towards the fact that it's still a healthy real estate market, considering all the different variables. So I hope that you found that information helpful. If there are any specific questions that you have about your unique circumstance, I'd be happy to reach out. All my contact information is below. I really appreciate you watching today's video. Thanks so much. Talk soon.